This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Cason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Bro, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is, it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Charmander.
Or are you more of a Charmeleon guy?
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what
Schlecht?
it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me on a Monday is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
I'm excited to talk about the Cup.
Oh, love the Cup. Respect the Cup. And with us to preview this Cup game, enemy of the podcast. I mean, not really, but Mavericks fan, Jason Gallagher. Also, just producer extraordinaire. Produce some of like the best stuff that you've ever watched, listened to, whatever. Amazing. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. It is an honor to be here. You know how much I love being on this podcast. My parent friends are going to be texting me. I can't wait.
It's amazing. Jason, do you like the NBA Cup?
Sure. I mean, it's a bit of like a what else would we be doing right now? And it's nice to have an of excitement. I think that this, this matchup in particular is a reason why the Cup is great, because Oklahoma City and Dallas have a mini rivalry brewing, and there's some fun stakes on the line.
Yeah. Do you respect the Cup though?
Always, except for Minnesota's court. That can go away.
Yeah, that is brutal. That is brutal. I'm glad we don't have to watch that tomorrow night. So the things that are on my mind when I think about Thunder Mavs, obviously, like there's these like very high level, like Shea versus Luka. You have like the J-Dub, Kyrie. You have like these big stars that are going head to head. But honestly, like the first thing I think about is the Thunder have Isaiah Hartenstein in this matchup, and they've never had a big like this against the Mavericks. So I'm intrigued. How do the Mavericks handle more? And Hartenstein's, it's hard to say he's a traditional big because he does so much more than what a traditional big does. But like, how do the Mavericks handle like bigger guys like this in like any other matchup?
I mean, honestly, with brute force, I would say, because they do have so many bodies that are bigger, that just continuing to sort of like pound the big guys. And I think that I'm bummed to not see Chet, because that is really that is the thing that like is the real test case in my view. It's not just Hartenstein; it's actually both, because what they're going to probably do is feed Gafford, feed Lively, feed PJ, Maxey starting centers, now the third string, like just keep pounding them with hopes that they'll probably, especially for a situation like this where there's only one real big, try to get them into foul trouble early is probably what they would do. They love to open up the game going in the post to those guys. So I could see that happening.
Yeah, the foul angle is very interesting because Hartenstein has played very well as of late in his first few games, but like staying away from foul trouble is not always easy for him. So I'm extremely curious to see how it will approach the game, because he will know that he is very important for that game. So I wonder if he contains himself, so he plays like a little bit less hard, or if it's just go full throttle and see what happens. I'm quite curious to see. What's your review on that?
Yeah, I think honestly, if I'm the Thunder, I'm hoping he just goes full throttle and they live with the results, because they have shown to have success going small if needed. And it's a real chess match between who gives first. And the last time Dallas and OKC played, there was a lot of people missing, but at the same time, Dallas never gave up the big lineup, like the way that the Clippers immediately went small. I think the Pelicans did the same, although they don't have a lot of center options. But Dallas has so many options that they're just going to keep bringing it. So I love this matchup, like, for so many reasons. And it's such a fever dream, because I thought it was a great series last time. And then they each got like 2 or 3 more variables to throw in the mix. Yeah. It's so fun to like think about, because there are so many options and ways that each team could play. I don't know. I could watch like 1,000 of these games. They're so good.
Yeah. The second thing I think about is also not the heavy hitters in this game. It's PJ Washington. It's honestly, that's probably the first thing I really think about.
You guys, I feel so bad.
It's honestly the thing I don't want to think about. So I said Hartenstein first as like a pretend, first thing that I think about. But no, like the first thing I think about is PJ Washington. I mean, he came into OKC not that long ago, and he was kind of coming off a stretch where I think he was hurt, and then he hadn't really played very well until really he played the Thunder, and he went for 27 and 17 and shot 10 free throws and made all of them, in which he had only made 3 free throws so far in the season before that game. It was just like, of course it's PJ Washington. It had to be him. And he pretty much, in that series, he played really, really well in Oklahoma City. And he even talked about it after the game about how much he loves playing in the arena, in the Paycom. How afraid should Thunder fans be of PJ?
It's really not just PJ. And I kind of keep coming back to this, where it's he especially when the Thunder are like, don't have those big guys, he's actually like the perfect guy to really attack. And they love opening up the first quarter, just getting him in the post, finding him on a smaller guy and just going. Yeah. But he's just like, he's this sort of archetype Mavs role player that it feels like I said, both teams, it feels like they've increased their sort of like threats on both sides. But Dallas, especially over the stretch where Luka was hurt, had games where Quentin Grimes would go off or Najee Marshall would go off. And they have these sort of like, they have like almost like an open slot for that third scorer. And it could be like 4 or 5 guys on a given night, which is pretty awesome. And so, should you worry about PJ Washington? Sure. But there's also these other guys that are fully capable. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie has been kind of on a heater.
Yeah.
And, has had some really big moments. So that would be my thing, is that it's just really hard to guard that team when Kyrie, Luka, and then some third option is also contributing.
Yeah, they have an insane list of guys that are like, you're so annoyed that they have like
yeah, I call that the Reggie Jackson zone, because Dallas's version of PJ Washington was Reggie Jackson. I literally don't think I've ever seen him miss a shot against Dallas. So
yeah, there are plenty of guys where you're like, I can't believe that was the guy. I'm fine if Luka goes for 50 or Kyrie beats us on a buzzer beater, but if it's PJ Washington or if it's Spencer Dinwiddie,
there's a woman named Molly Morrison, and Dinwiddie hit back-to-back threes to beat the Grizzlies, and she was just like, Spencer Dinwiddie doing this makes me want to quit watching basketball.
Totally. Yeah, it is awful.
Yeah, I feel like no matter if PJ Washington is known to be a Thunder killer, not just in a Mavs jersey, because that started way earlier in Charlotte, where he went off for a meaningless game for Charlotte and a very important game for OKC. But OKC is not adjusting to that. It's not Luka and not Kyrie most of the times, because of the way in which they play defense. So I wonder if this happens against every team, or if it's just Thunder specific, where they really go to stop Luka, stop Kyrie, and then let's see if we can take away the lob, and then let's see what we can do against PJ or guys like that. Do you feel that this is the scheme that only OKC uses, or it's the common one against Dallas?
especially lately, it has been a little bit of the secret sauce for Dallas is the way like PJ started off the season not great, and since he's sort of come alive, it's the sort of variance, it's the way he's sort of being used. I don't think it's exclusive to OKC. Last in the playoffs, I mean, he was just shooting lights out, and I don't even know if that's like, I'm not sure how you approach that schematically. It's probably why they tripled down on Clay to get more reliable shooting there. But this season, the way they're using him, it's pretty consistent. Teams are having a hard time with that. So yeah, the thing I'm most, again, tomorrow's gonna be great. The thing I'm most interested about is eventually when a fully healthy Thunder team is there to defend, I'll be really curious because it didn't feel like the Thunder had enough bodies to put on Luka. And now it feels like they do, and any switch is ideally, I'm not sure who guards who, but it's like, I could see a fun, PJ Caruso matchup that is like really, really entertaining, that, similar body types, the whole thing, plus Dort on Luka, whatever. I think that Dallas is just really taking advantage of the fact that OKC has been small every time they played them in the last couple of years. That's ultimately, and they really punish teams that do that. So
what are your thoughts on Luka's season so far? 28 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, almost 2 steals per game, 45, 34, 76 shooting splits. I feel like he's kind of had like this like weird up and down season where at the beginning people were kind of dogging on him about his effort. And then I feel like he's been pretty incredible as of late. But from your perspective, what have you seen?
I feel like it's been a weird sean. You said weird. Weird is accurate. I think he came into the it came into the season not ready, per the usual. Didn't play in the preseason, got hurt. So give him a little grace there. First few games, many people have said this felt like his preseason where he's sort of getting warmed up, and that really permeated throughout the team. But Mavs fans, myself included, definitely overreacted to that. I mean, their losses were really slim. They were literally last second losses, and they were really loud moments in these losses where he has a defensive lapse or he takes the dumbest shot you've ever seen or whatever. And so in that sense, it felt like he was having a worse season, I think, than he actually was. And then, took a break, and that was like really heartening to see the Dallas Mavericks like continue a positive trajectory without him, because I think that's pretty foreign to Mavs fans. And then he's come back and he's looked great, in shape. Tim Legler was sort of talking about like the fact that he looks like he has his legs again. And when you don't have your legs, your shot variance is just different. The way you shoot it is going to be different. And so it looks like he's finding himself. Like I Thunder fans will probably completely agree with this comment, but I really do wish that he would just play. And he's just playing more. But for me, it's like, it's kind of insane to me that his next, it was, someone's like, what's the next step for Luka? And it's like, I don't really have anything. His on ball defense is solid, 5th in the league in steals. Like, off ball help defense, not great, but he's also doing a lot on offense, so you'll take it. It's really just like, I just would love to see him not even look at a referee. I would love to see one full game of that, because, and maybe that's a motivating factor for him. We did a podcast this morning with Joakim Noah, and he'd mentioned that to him is his next evolution, is learning how to, and he sort of like compared him to Draymond. He was like learning how to channel your energy that way a little bit, less towards constantly going at the refs. So anyways, all that to say, it's been a weird year. But I think I'm feeling pretty positive about him the rest of the years. All things stays, everything stays healthy. I think he's having a really, really good season. So
the complaining about the referees is whatever. I mean, you can say that in part is his heritage as a European guy. I mean, the complaint here, it's so much different. But but in some sense, it can take you out of games. It can maybe channeling a few games here and there where you feed off the idea that you are not treated as you're supposed to, but also like it can throw you out in the wrong game.
Yeah,
I have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also think it's like really just not, it's not a good way to lead your team. I really respect the way that Shea handles his business on that end. Now, Dallas fans would say he baits for fouls. Not that he's any different than any other superstar, but you know what I mean? But it's not like, and when you pick your spots, then it's a little bit more valuable. What you're saying out loud actually matters, and it's not every single play. And so from that sense, I just think it's like it's an evolution in how you lead your team, I think. Because if you have 24 seconds on an offensive possession, you spend just two of it complaining, that takes you out of a possession. It really does. It doesn't mentally get you there. And I just really think, as a big Luka fan, I really, really, really wish he would he's been a lot better lately, but I wish he would just shut it down completely.
That's the short. That's the short right there. That's it. That's what's going on the YouTube. We were joking about how anytime that he says anything nice about the Thunder, that Mavs fans do not like it. And so
it's just like the most like, you traitor. It's like, if I'm like the number one team in the West is pretty good, guys. They're the you traitor.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Where did I hear? There was what's the Mavs podcast that I heard? Some like pretty intense. Oh, Pod Maverick, which you appear on.
I do. I love going on that. Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah.
And I've known each other for a long time.
Kirk specifically gets so mad about people liking the Thunder and like saying anything good about the Thunder. I was listening to him this morning.
Nobody dislikes Lou Dort more than Kirk Henderson.
Yeah, I was going to say Kirk will not have it. I'll just make it. I'll just make that. I won't put it on YouTube, but I'll just send it to Kirk.
Yeah, no, I love to bait him. If like, I think yesterday Ingram got hurt and Dort was guarding him, and I just sent him the clip. It was just let him go. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So tomorrow night, what's your sense of like what, and I'm not asking like what the teams are going to do, but what's your sense on what the philosophy should be going into this game? Because I've heard some people say like, oh, you don't want to show your hand. You don't want to like give every single thing to this game because it's early on in the season.
It's happening.
But like, to me, if you respect the cup, you're not holding back strategy. You're throwing everything in this. You're trying to win this thing so you can get to Vegas, right?
I think this is I think this game is going to be a much bigger deal for the Thunder than the Mavericks. I think that's just a fact of life. Okay. I think take the cup out of it. I think if this wasn't even a cup game, it would still matter a lot because Dallas just continues to sort of have the upper hand. And I think with that, that's just that's a frustrating thing when you're the number one seed in the West and you're trying to make a statement. You're trying to, that's good for your guys. It's good for the people within the organization to get that win. So if I'm the Thunder, I'm going all in. And I think if I'm the Thunder, getting Jalen going against the Mavs is like priority number one. I think that was watching it, especially last year in the playoffs. I mean, that was the most glaring thing is that when it came to playmaking, there was one option. And if you can never stop Shea, but if you can slow him down by 5%, that's it. And to me, that was it. Whereas Luka has multiple options. If you're comparing the two, right? Heads of the snakes, he has multiple options. If he's off, you will literally see him pass it to Kyrie and just kind of go away. And they run, they run things through multiple guys. And so Jalen, getting going, you want him to just be confident against this Mavericks team. It doesn't feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel like he's had like that confidence against the Mavericks for whatever reason.
Yeah, it has certainly felt that way. I don't know if the stats would read that way or not, but I just going into the game, like this is like it's a really good test for the Thunder to kind of see where they're at as far as if this is a close game down the stretch. I know that they want to work on ball movement, player movement stuff down the stretch and not let the offense get bogged down, not just be a Shea step back to or Shea try to figure it out every time offense. They want Shea to get off the ball so maybe he can get it in a better position later or allow J-Dub to create or create off screens. And I know that that's something that they want. And I think that it's a really good opportunity. It's a good like measuring stick game for J-Dub in particular. I think it's a good point. I think it's a really interesting.
Yeah. And I'm really like, yeah. And for Dallas, like I just have a feeling that, it'll be a close one. And they've really had a hard time in the clutch with their full team. And in a very similar way, I think Dallas Mavericks fans are watching to see, can we draw up a single play, or is it always going to be either a Luka or Kyrie step back three, regardless of the scenario, which is like kind of all we've seen. So yeah, it's a fun one. I mean, just the energy. I went to the Mavs Thunder game earlier this season, just the energy, the fans want to beat Dallas so bad. So bad. I mean, and I just, if I'm a predictions guy, it's just like, I just think one team really needs it, like needs it. And the other team is kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I'm not a big stats guy. I'm a feelings, I'm in my feelings a little bit. And I'm just like, I just think the energy is just so like, we got to beat these guys.
Yeah, sure. It will be that way. It will be that way. Absolutely. It's also a different environment compared to last time where, I mean, OKC was playing super duper small. It was, I think, at the end of a pretty tough stretch of games where they had to go all in energy wise. Now it's probably a little bit of a different scenario. I mean, Hartenstein and Caruso help a lot. Also, in the matter that you were mentioning about like allowing J-Dub to be in the game. I really think that we had glimpses of lineups with Hartenstein and Caruso with J-Dub, and that is starting to working because J-Dub is not right now a primary ball handler like Kyrie and Luka, that they can just be one or the other or both on the court together and the ball will not stick, you have a ball handler. With J-Dub, it's that thing is not there yet. I think he can be better as a primary initiator, and having guys who can make the extra pass, move around, help him with screening and cutting, I think that may help him, and it wasn't there in the first game against the Mavs. So I really see that as a focal point of what can happen on tomorrow.
Andrew, like, what's your thought going in? I'm so curious. You're the question asker, but what do you got?
I think the Thunder really want to win this.
Yeah,
is what I think. I think that they, like you said, I think they're going to be gunning for this game, and I think that there is this like internal. I think you can see them ramping up over the last like week or so, and you saw in the Utah game how much they wanted to win that game and how much they wanted to win it by a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think that they're going into this game with the same kind of feeling. Like they want to win it. They want to prove that they can they want to prove they can beat the Mavs. And they also want to like prove that they're getting a ton of praise nationally. Yeah. And I think that they want to back that up because I do think that this is a very talented team. Even without Chet, it's a very talented team that has like the potential to win the whole thing this year. But they need to back it up. They haven't gotten out of the second round. They've really just had one playoff run.
Yeah.
And so like there's just a lot behind them right now, and they need to go prove it. And I think like this is one stage that you can prove it at. If they don't win the whole thing, that's fine. But I think like I think this game might mean more to them than like winning the whole cup,
I completely agree. And again, this is just coming from somebody who's
not the J Will though. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely not the J Will. Did you hear about this?
I very vaguely, but remind us.
Yeah. So Jay Will, it was talked about after the game. We were asking about, because there were all these scenarios about if this team beats that team, or if there's this point differential versus that. And like, it was just like this weird puzzle you had to put together before the Utah game.
Yeah.
You know, we were asking the guys after the game, did you guys look at any of this stuff? And mostly they were like, no, we didn't. But Jay Will did. And Jay Will very much wants the money. and so like there's like this, I would love to see what the texts are to like the group chat or like to the individuals from Jay Will, because he very much wants the money and is very vocal about it. I made like a quick like YouTube short about it and put it up there and like tagged him in it. I put it on Twitter as well, and he like swiftly retweeted it. Like he very much wants to win the money. And he's not played 1 minute so far this season, which makes it even funnier to me.
Just a man of the people, you know. That's
really
the most relatable thing I've ever heard. It's like I'm in a fantasy football league with Caruso's in it, but I am far and away the person who makes the least amount of money of anybody in that group. Definitely like just not supposed to be there. And last night's our last night of the regular season, and I need this actor, by the way, named Dylan O'Brien. He was a Teen Wolf, and he's been in all sorts of I needed him
to be an amazing group. Wow.
I needed him to beat Tommy Alter for me to get a first round bye. And one of his players last night is reported out of the game. And I was just like, well, this is embarrassing, but I'm going to text everybody, including Caruso, Michele, like everybody's in this group. And I was like, hey, Dylan, we've never met, but just so you know, your tight end is out tonight and you need to replace him. Like, I am here for the money. That's it. That's it. So shout out Jay Will. I get it.
Oh, that's so good.
Shamelessly here for the money.
Yeah. J Dub said that he would buy a Lambo if they won the whole thing. So
cool.
I
don't know. I mean, I guess you know, that goal, having goals is great, but I'm with you. I do think that they would like if you pulled most of the, you know, this game matters. A lot.
Oh yeah, it matters a whole lot.
Yeah, especially just given that, like, I don't know. I respect the cup. The Lakers won the cup last year.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I'm so intrigued to see what the crowd is like in Vegas. Like without the Lakers, like if the Warriors don't make it, like what is the crowd going to look like? If it's Houston, OKC,
what's the weirdest result? If it's Houston Magic, like Rockets Magic.
If somehow the Magic get there without Paolo and Franz, and it's like Jalen Suggs, you know, against Sengun.
I had to make a social graphic, and I was like, "Oh gosh, like, who should I?" I had to use a player in our little promo, and I was like, "I guess I go with Suggs," but Mo Wagner makes funnier faces. Maybe I go there.
True.
True. I almost went with Jonathan Isaac just because he's more of a recognizable face. I don't know.
Jonathan Isaac is the more recognizable. I guess he is.
Am I not? Has he not been in the news for more reasons than Jalen Suggs?
I mean, he definitely has.
Yes.
Okay.
He definitely has.
I'm a content man, Andrew.
This is a new theme, Andrew, for your summer league games with the fans, like trying to put the picture of Jonathan Isaac and see how many guess right.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'll do that in Vegas.
Let's do when we're in Vegas, I'm going to join you for this one.
Okay,
we'll do like a little bet.
Are you going?
I don't know. No, for the cup.
Yeah, for the cup.
I don't know. It's around Christmas time. A lot of families.
I know.
But the point is,
I'm happy about that. Yeah,
this is the bet.
Yeah,
you show a picture of Jalen Suggs and show a picture of Jonathan Isaac.
Okay,
and see who recognizes who more. I will put any amount of money that Jonathan Isaac gets more recognition than Suggs. Jalen Suggs is a very normal looking NBA player.
He is, and his headband gets bigger every single game. It's just going to be a hat, you know. Very soon.
It's just going to look like a beanie at I love it. But yeah, that would be really weird. The Hawks would be really weird too. I just think that would be strange.
Hawks would be weird. I think obviously, if you're the NBA, you very, very much want the Knicks and the Warriors to be there. And then, obviously, I mean, if that's the final, I think the NBA is just super pumped.
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Just the Knicks. The Knicks are enough. I think that if the Knicks are there, anything is fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not pro rigging anything, but I'd be pro rigging a Knicks final. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
What's the Thunder number 1 in the West?
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of hijacked this a little bit, but who in the West is like worrying you?
I mean, I think if you were to put like a worry meter on every team, I think the Mavericks would probably be the top team, just because the series was so strange last season.
Yeah,
and I think the Mavericks certainly have a lot of confidence against the Thunder. After that,
this is what I'm curious about.
After that, I don't know that there's any team, like, honestly, you look at the way that Memphis has played, and they've played without a lot of their Michele does not fear Memphis. I think like that's a team that is really interesting. But it's funny because the West is really strong, but I feel like it falls off pretty quick, and you don't really know who's who. You know, I think it's pretty flat. Like after I think it's like Thunder, Mavs, Grizzlies, and then it's like, okay, who is it? Because everybody's kind of had their week. You know, the Warriors had a couple weeks where it was like, oh my gosh, are the Warriors going to be, the second in the West? You know, the Wolves have looked good and terrible this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Mavericks have too.
Dallas could lose this game and legitimately like fall to the 6th seed. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I asked that because I think Dallas fans would say the same thing about the Thunder. I think they go, well, the Thunder worry us, and then after that, it's Memphis is good. I still would take Dallas in a 7-game series.
I would too.
Same with Houston. And it's funny because like, because all it is just like, just conventional wisdom being like, I hate playing Steph in the playoffs. Like if you were to ask me who would I rather play, I know it's the smart answer is probably the Warriors, but at the same time, when you have somebody who is capable of certain things, it's just you kind of go like, I'd love to avoid them. I kind of have the same feeling about Phoenix a little bit. That it's just when you have that kind of firepower that the highs are so high and the lows are so low. The high teams kind of just freak me out.
Yeah, it freaks me out that you have 2.5 high variance players in Phoenix, because I mean, with Golden State, you have one guy. If you're able to find a way to limit, just not letting him going off every single game, I think that you can have the upper hand. And I think that OKC has 4 guys to try out, on Steph, which again, Steph is Steph. He can go off anyway, but I feel that OKC has a lot of guys.
Yeah. Well, once they have LeBron, it'll be interesting.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an inside info from the producer?
Yeah, that would change.
You gotta watch what I'm wearing and everything like that. That is not an inside anything. God.
Is there any team where you don't fear them, but you have clear in my mind, oh no, we can't lose against that team? Because for the Thunder, I think it's Houston. You can't.
Houston.
You absolutely can't.
Why do you feel that way? Why is it so passionate? Why?
Because of so many things.
There's a lot going with Houston.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it all starts with Patrick Beverley, who destroys Westbrook's knee.
Yeah, would have a title.
And you have and then you have the James Harden of it all.
Yeah.
Then you have the Thunder traded Alperen Şengün to the Rockets on draft night thing. I mean, they
are rebuilding at the same time with 2 very different philosophy.
Yes.
But I mean, they are getting results. So
I
it's
love that series. Gosh, and seeing Dylan Brooks and Shea like fight over the ball but smile a little, like that's awesome. I don't know. Dylan, I would hate to lose to Dylan Brooks. I would just
be the worst. They have to win, and they almost have to sweep, because like I don't know that Thunder fans can handle like a couple days where they know they lost to Houston in the playoffs. Like I just don't know if they can mentally handle it.
What
Unless
about
they are already 3-0, then if you lose and you are 3-1, is it okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, that can happen.
I guess
But if
there's
it's home, oh boy, no.
what about if San Antonio slips into the 8th seed?
That's nice. I mean,
That's nice.
that would be a disaster. Like, but it's also, hey, if you lose against San Antonio, then just what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
why are you even here? Against Houston, it can happen. It might happen. I mean, they are a legit good team.
Yes.
So it's different. I mean, if you lose against San Antonio, whatever. I mean, it's just, demolish the whole thing, burn.
I agree with that.
Yeah, they wouldn't lose to San Antonio. They wouldn't lose to San Antonio.
I don't think so. I'm just saying. All I was saying was I was just saying.
Oh, yeah. Houston is definitely, I think, the one that would get people most riled up.
Yeah.
If it was like somehow like 2-2, like heading back to OKC, and you're just,
oh no,
this cannot
be.
be.
You know what I will say though? I had a early season prediction, and people were not happy with it. And I actually want to take this opportunity on this podcast to say something. It is probably my most passionate take. Well, it's going to start with a pre-take, then the take. So the pre-take is that I always thought that Minnesota was going to have a bad or down year, not a bad year, down year. Yeah. I just think you're like I wasn't a fan of the Randall thing. I still think Ant is a notch below Shea and Luka. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that you reach a threshold of good Rudy, and then it starts to turn. And I think it's starting to turn a little bit. So felt very passionate about that. That said, they got all the games that Oklahoma City should have got. And I genuinely feel the problem with the NBA today is that Oklahoma City is not playing on Christmas Day. Clip this out.
Totally.
Okay. Because what the difference between the NBA and the NFL is the NFL trusts its fans to say, these are the best teams and this is who we're featuring. Now, people point out Thanksgiving, but that's like different. That's a tradition. Cowboys, Lions, but play every Thanksgiving, whatever. It's not like they're doing, the Lions every Thanksgiving because of ratings, But the point is that NBA Christmas Day is a day to feature your best teams.
Yes.
And to not feature one of the very best teams, the best team in the West, for the reasons of projecting a narrative. I'm sorry, I sound like Tucker Carlson of sports right now, but projecting a narrative that is like Wemby will be good, or he's good right now, but he will be the face, or Ant will be the face. I think by not embracing the reality of the situation today and constantly trying to tell people this is the way it's going to go, I think people are just like, what? And I think it is going to be like really gross watching the Knicks and Spurs. I'm like, that is such a travesty. Yeah, and to not have them on opening night and Christmas Day, I kind of go like. Also, not to mention the fact that why don't you want to get this team in front of people that is going to be dominant for a long time? I mean, that is indisputable. So for me, I really, really genuinely feel, and coming from not a Thunder fan, it frustrates me to no end why you wouldn't feature one of the most fun, dynamic guy who, in my view, is the leading MVP candidate. It's bananas. It's bananas. So that's it.
I'm glad you brought it up. I feel like the league does this and they don't know that it's a problem that they have, is that they think that following the money is the best thing to do for their product. Yep. And if you just follow the basketball instead, the money will be there. Like, stop trying to follow like where you think the cash is because you think it's behind Wemby or you think it's behind, whatever it is. It's like, just let the best teams play. And then I think things will actually just fall into place. But I think they get so concerned playing like this other game that they think is the way, Like no one's gonna watch Spurs Knicks except for Knicks fans and Spurs fans. I don't think that's something that appeals to the general sports fan out there. If you say like, hey, this is the best offense in the league versus the best team in the West, I think, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's flip that on. I don't think that Wemby is there yet. I think that they'll get there at some point, but it's not fair to put. It's not fair to him, and it's not the right.
That's the ultimate point. Is that okay? Let's actually feature this Wemby Spurs team on the biggest platform physically possible in the regular season, and when it's a dud, and the casual fan like my dad or whoever is like, this is the guy.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah,
he was on opening night against the Mavericks.
Yeah.
I think he scored 18. Like I'm just saying that like I completely agree that it's following like names that they hope to become something rather than the names that are. And I was flabbergasted. People have said I've overreacted to this, but I really do believe I'm like, no, I want the NBA to succeed. I'm somebody who wants it to flourish. And I think, you go through all this stuff and it's like, oh, they're going to do a Disney broadcast. I'm like, how about this? Broadcast your best team on the biggest platform.
Yeah.
Just play the best teams.
Rocket science.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
And it's not that nobody previewed that. I mean, OKC was number one in every single prediction for every single model.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the best team last season. I mean, it's and on top, I mean, I watched probably half, if not more, of the Minnesota versus Dallas series in the playoffs. It was not better than the series that OKC and Dallas had before. It was just no energy compared to the one before. So if you want to put Dallas, which again you should, they were in the finals. They are entitled to just put that matchup on Christmas Day. I mean, that would have been awesome, just fantastic. And yeah, I mean, and then if you're proved wrong, and then I mean, Minnesota had a game last year. You can put them again the year after if you like.
It's an investment too. I think it's an investment. It's like it's not going to change behaviors over time or in a second, but over time, like that's what the NFL has done so well. If Buffalo, New York has the best football team if Kansas City, Missouri has the best football team, they're going to be featured. Doesn't matter market size, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. And so that's where I'm just still so like I have no shots. Love JJ, love LeBron. I have to watch the Lakers. Okay. Great.
Yeah, because it's great to watch Mahomes play football. It's just awesome. Let's just do that. I mean, the guy is fantastic. He can throw any pass. So why not? Who cares if like the fan base right there, it's not ideal.
The best thing in the world, the best thing in the world for the NBA would be that to have like the nation fall in love with the Thunder. I'm sorry, it would be or hate the Thunder or whatever. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be here for a long time. And then come playoff time, if they happen to meet Minnesota or Dallas, that game, it just becomes even heightened. And so I will get off of this, but when you asked me on, I was like, I need to just carve out a little time because I haven't been able to say this publicly really.
I love it. Yeah. You look at the games on Christmas. It's like, which game like even has the most juice behind it now?
What are the games?
Spurs, Knicks,
boo,
Wolves, Mavs, like that. It's okay. Sixers, Celtics on Christmas Day.
Well, that might be okay.
Yeah,
might be okay.
These are the best case scenarios, by the way. Might be okay. Continue.
Might be okay. This has some potential. Yeah. We may see 2.5 Sixers players that we actually want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's like obviously like very dependent on like what the Sixers have looked better lately. We need them to hang on. Lakers Warriors game is this like 7 p.m. game.
Lakers Warriors. I mean, that will be entertaining simply because both teams are kind of on a similar level, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Warriors are better, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Nuggets Suns.
That's okay.
That'll be an okay game. Yeah. I will definitely watch that.
It's 9:30. It's the 9:30. It's like the late game. You know,
I will definitely not be watching that. since
I'm
it's
gonna be
probably 4 a.m. here.
wine deep, just getting my tweets off about how Jokic is not the MVP this year.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to ask this.
Yeah.
As a Luka guy.
Yeah.
Right now, the Nuggets are in a similar position to where the Mavs were last season, where they're like 500-ish and they're just kind of struggling. And like Luka was putting up these amazing stats, but everyone was like, he could never win the MVP because of the team's success. And right now, everyone's like, isn't Jokic the MVP? Isn't this guy the greatest? Who can help? Who can get this guy some help? And it's like, as a Mavs fan, I would be losing my brain if like this was happening, because it's just like this inverse of like the media just loves Jokic so much.
Yeah,
like for good reason. He's a great player,
no
but Luka, I think everyone is looking for any reason to cut him down. And like, do Mavs fans just freak out about this? Would be my question.
I don't know if you've been on my Twitter lately, but this has been the narrative that I've been pushing for the last week.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I've tried to, be very even keeled about one thing. I do think Jokic is like unbelievable and playing unbelievable and doing all he can to make his team win. Like that's not in question. This isn't a hate Jokic thing. It's I have really strong takes about the way the media treated Luka last year, and people really disagree with this, and that's fine. But I watched every single game, sometimes multiple times. And last December, Dallas went through a really bad stretch of injuries. It was like December through like sort of late January, and no Kyrie, no Lively. PJ wasn't there. Gafford wasn't there. Every night it was a different starting lineup, a different bench unit. The variables were crazy. And so Luka's like advanced stats were obviously reflective of this sort of roster variance. And during that stretch that he had, that like all those guys were out, the Mavs were like 500. Okay. That just killed any sort of semblance of like an MVP sort of conversation. And when you asked about the reasons, people would say, well, his net rating or his box plus minus wasn't as good. And you just go like, well, of course it's not as good. There's no consistency within that roster. It's just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
And when you try to add the context of, hey, amongst all the playoff teams, Dallas Mavericks by far had the most injuries than any team, they'd say, oh, well, you can't bring that up. Well, why can't you bring that up? You could bring, like, it's just context. Why can't we just say that? So, okay, turns out box plus minus didn't do anything for Jokic against the Wolves, and Luka defeats the Wolves and whatever. So Mavericks fans get to have a little bit of like a told you so kind of moment.
Yeah.
This year happens, and we're ready to let it go. But then we see Jokic going through the same thing. And then the MVP ladder, he's number one. And you go, I'm sorry, folks. No. And I will say this, people will be like, oh, you're just a Luka stan. You're just whatever. I think Shea's the MVP. Done. I don't even think Luka's top 3 right now. Done. Like relax. I'm not making the case for Luka to be MVP. I'm saying consistency matters. And when people come to me and they say, oh, well, what about like his advantage? No, stats are objective. The way you use them is not objective. Yeah. Period. End of story. And so that to me, that's why there was a Thunder fan. Shout out this guy. He came up to me yesterday, but he just said, well, I don't like Luka. And I'm like, you know what? At least you're not talking about his box plus minus, and you're just saying, I don't like the way he plays. It's annoying to watch him complain. Whatever. So anyways, that's my thing. You're dead on. Okay. Jokic shouldn't be anywhere near the MVP as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If you're going according to the parameters that they set.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to, I've never been a big like team success should ultimately dictate the MVP. So if you're asking me, yeah, I think he should be, but according to their standards, no, he shouldn't. End.
Yeah, the MVP ladder is currently Jokic 1, Giannis 2, Tatum 3, Shea 4, Karl Anthony Towns 5.
Wow, that's nice.
Just let me keep going. Franz Wagner 6.
Okay, tough.
Anthony Davis 7, Luka 8, Donovan Mitchell 9, Victor Wembanyama 10.
Fantastic. That is a great list to prove Jason's point, basically.
It's like a Mad Lib of NBA names. Like it just is
definitely throwing the darts at the board. And I think like honestly think Kyrie should get a little bit more love. He really has done a lot for Dallas this year. But either way, I mean that's a tough. The fact that Jokic is on top of that list, it's just bananas, and there's no rationale right now. I think that we're just like, I don't know. Have I told you my other MVP take is that I think that the voting should be private again.
Ooh. Okay. Explain yourself.
I think NBA Twitter has really impacted groupthink in a way.
I hate the day. That is my least favorite day of the year on the NBA calendar is whenever the names are released.
Yeah.
Because then it's like it's witch hunt. And I'm like,
like
stop. Like it's the most annoying day to me. Like I try to stay off social media that day. It's the worst.
Yeah, and most of these people, like you would say, like most of them do vote, the way that their conscience would say.
Yeah.
There are these people. I had a conversation with a voter last year who told me who his real MVP was, but he wasn't going to vote for him because of the way it would look. How about that? That was a real conversation I had. And that's why I think that we should not have these things be public. I think we go back to private and we just roll the dice. It certainly didn't stop that one guy who voted. Who did he vote for? He voted for like
Melo, right?
No,
it's another one. I know what you mean.
Yeah, who was that? It was it was this guy. It was this guy who was like the shadiest looking dude. Somehow got an MVP vote, and he
something, right?
Yeah, but who did he vote for?
Let me try to pull it up.
I don't know, but that guy. I mean, like it didn't stop him. Like that's gonna happen. So.
I remember some Italian newspaper guys. They got the vote somehow and voted for like in a terrible way, but I don't remember the specifics. I remember I was embarrassed, but
Yeah, man, it's gonna drive me crazy. But it was so shamelessly, Homer. It was from whatever. It was a player from whatever country he was from. So it was like, oh golly, is this good podcasting? I can't tell.
It's funny that like I'm so mad about the witch hunt, and now we're going on the witch hunt again on this guy right now.
Yeah, but this guy's a king. Like I don't care. Like
I'm trying to find it. Like I'm looking at all the vote. Oh, maybe it wasn't his first place vote then, because like every first place vote was either went to Jokic, Shea, or Jokic that I can see.
Yeah, but who was the
guy? Somebody voted Giannis. Oh, maybe that was it.
Was he voted Giannis? Okay, so it's not that crazy. But Giannis wasn't really like.
Yeah, he went Giannis, Jokic, Edwards, Brunson, Shea.
Hold on.
His list.
The comments say
Tolis, Katsias. Yeah, what are the comments? Oh, I need to go look to the comments. Oh, Sabonis. Yeah, somebody voted for Sabonis. That's what it was.
He voted for Defensive Player of the Year. That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find his name now.
Anyways, okay, so there are flaws in the MVP voting, is what we've established. There's no perfect way to do it. I just think I would go back to private, and so people could vote with their heart, and not necessarily with because it's a system. Like if you're a young person who has an MVP vote, and you're just like, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope. I mean, look, I respect the Tatum one. I respect the Giannis argument. Like there's a lot of good arguments to be made. For me, it's the consistency from Shea is really, really pretty key on both ends, and the Jokic thing, like, again, by my standards, I think he's there. It's also just like another like item of proof that like people could say, oh, postseason doesn't impact the MVP vote. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
It gives you a benefit of the doubt that other players do not have. Because right now the whole thing is that Gordon Ramsay meme of, oh dear, you're so gorgeous, when he like puts up 58 in a loss. Like Luka puts up 73 in a win, and they're like, you have ruined the NBA.
Yes, exactly.
That's what happened.
Yeah, Ignacio Garcia, he voted Domantas Sabonis third for Depoy.
Fantastic.
Listen,
Fantastic.
How well, they are conceding the least amount of shots at the rim. Maybe it's him. No, it's not. But hey, you can swing that if you want.
maybe it's him.
Are there
Maybe
any?
it's him.
My mom's from El Salvador. Are there any El Salvadorian basketball players I can vote for?
Ooh, I don't
Oh,
think so.
I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell. No.
Once that happens, look out.
Okay.
Be on a crusade.
Well, if the vote is secret again, we'll know it's you.
It is me. No, I should never be given an MVP vote. Are you kidding me? That would be the worst idea in the world.
Oh boy. Okay, let's give our picks for the cup. Are you gonna be at the game, first of all?
Yes. I will be sitting with my friend Justin Lawrence, who makes all of the. Do you know him?
Justin? Yeah.
He makes all of the T-shirts for the Thunder crowd. I took him to a Mavericks game in Dallas last year.
Yeah.
First, you guys just have to hear this really quickly. So he is a confounding guy. He went to the. So I pick him up. He gets in my car. We're gonna drive to Dallas, and he's wearing a hoodie that has a picture of Luka Doncic, and it says "Your mom is a hoe." And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, you remember when he got into it with that guy courtside? Luka yells. He does this a lot, by the way, because I think he doesn't know a ton of insults, so he likes to comment on people's moms. So he said that to the guy, and that's why they made the shirts. But the point is, then we get to the Mavs game. The first thing he does is he buys a Mavs shirt. Okay. And I'm like, why are you wearing a Maverick shirt? Like, and he was like, oh, win in Rome. And I'm like, okay. We get upgraded to like second row seats. Like some Cowboys players were supposed to go, and then they no-showed, and my guy was like, you want these seats? And we're like, sure. Dang. So Justin Lawrence is sitting there in a full Mavericks shirt, very close to players, very like on the bench, and he's just being like, here we go, Thunder, here we go, yeah, Dort. And like everyone's confused, everyone around us is confused. Like at certain points, players kind of turn around, they're like, he's like wearing very clearly a Mavericks shirt, and he's just very passionately. It was that game that Shea had that amazing fourth quarter, very passionately, just going, like losing his mind for the Thunder. It was so funny. It was awesome. That's it. That's my story. It was amazing.
I had a similar one, but I was given a Rocket shirt from a friend of mine that was working for the Rockets at the time.
How dare you?
And but I said, no, I will not wear it. You have to. Okay, I will change it. Okay, you cannot wear it, but you need to take it. I said, okay, I will take it, but will not put it on during the game.
Last year, on my birthday, someone gave me a Mavs Thunder jersey, and it split down the middle.
Wow,
fantastic!
So I have two. They made two different ones, so I have them. I told them, I'm like, I'm not there yet. It's much more Mavs than Thunder, but maybe if Dallas ever trades Luka, maybe there's a world where it could be split. I don't know. Matt Tumbleson's really working on me. He's really trying to get me to convert.
Does it say Mander or does it say Thundix? Thunderix.
Well, it's both of their city edition. So it's just the OKC.
Oh, okay.
Mavs. So it's like that. It's
okay.
And I think it's Luka and Chet for some reason. I think maybe the
Luka and Chet.
Yeah, I think it's the sevens. We were trying to get some symmetry there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Sense. Okay. Tell us. Well, before you go, can you give us any like insight into what it's like to work with J-Dub?
Sure. Honestly, he is. I always like judge people by how they treat crew.
Yeah.
And he's like extremely kind to the crew. Like there are some players that are like really memorable. Like Steph is like that. Like he's that kind of guy. And not to say anybody's mean, but it's just sort of like conscious of people and treating them like the same they treat JJ. J-Dub is like that for sure. And it was like really, it was just really funny because like, he the first time we met him, he was JJ was trying to talk to him about golf, and then we both started kind of roasting him about how no one cares about his golf game, and I just love that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so he's just like really easy going to me. He's funny. He's like game to laugh. One of my favorite, like, and I've started to notice this in watching him. One of my favorite things, this has nothing to do with like behind the scenes, but like my favorite things was Trey Murphy and Jaren Jackson Jr. did a podcast with us, and they were talking about who is the biggest talker in the NBA. Not trash talker, just pleasant talker. And it's Jalen Williams. And they'll do something awesome. And the Jalen would be like, that was really cool. Like you're like, stop talking to me. We're playing basketball.
He talks a lot. You can tell from the screen that he constantly talks with everybody.
He's complimentary. Like, and ever since they've said that, like I've noticed him, if someone does something good, like he'll have a little smirk and say something to them. And I'm just assuming he's like, that was a heck of a scheme or something, you know, and like, I don't even know, but I think that is such a very, very funny fact.
Yeah, it is really funny. He like just genuinely loves basketball.
Yeah.
Like when you love something like that and you see something that's great, you know, like if somebody like does something great on like a podcast, like, I'll like reach out to people sometimes. Hey, that was great. I love that. You know, even if it's somebody that we're like supposed to be competing with, it's just like you like genuinely love something. Yeah, and you can just kind of see it on his face, and I hope that never goes away, because I feel like a lot of times that just kind of fades as like you just get into it more. But it is something that is great about J-Dub, for sure.
It is. Yeah, he's awesome, and him and I've also gotten to know Caruso a bit, and also just just a really cool guy. I was like so excited when he got traded to the Thunder, because he's just. I don't know if y'all like if that's if you've seen like him make much of. I don't know how Thunder fans feel about him yet, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's gonna have some pretty big moments.
Yeah. He's like so down to earth, which is like not a common thing for NBA guys. Yeah, he's the best. I had a conversation with his parents even not that long ago, and like they're just like the nicest people. So
I don't think he's going to make our playoffs, unfortunately. Our fantasy football.
Is he not?
Doesn't look like it. It's a pretty competitive league. Actually, he's in 6th place right now, but he's tied with Tim Robinson, Cam Johnson, and Mina Kimes.
That is an amazing group. Oh, that rules. What do you want to promote before we go?
Sure. I think the one thing I want to say, because I saw a comment from Victor Vick that asked about the Lively pod that we announced last week. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty issue that we are working out with his people. We want to make sure it's put out the right way. So we're just kind of like talking about that. So it's recorded. It's great. He actually talks about how he thought he was going to be in Oklahoma City Thunder. So
interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, so that should be dropping this week. It's an awesome conversation. He's just an insanely likable guy. So yeah, that will be a good one. And then I think we have a Dyson Daniels episode also dropping. Got a couple really like fun ones.
Barrier Thief.
That's right. I like that nickname. I don't know. So yeah, those are the two things that I think are easy to promote. And I want to promote Christmas cheer.
I do too. I recently bought some of this winter spiced cranberry Sprite. You guys heard of this?
Wait, let me see that. No, but I love cranberry ginger ale, which is I've been told is gross, but I love it.
This is delightful.
Is it? Are you sponsored?
And I believe no, but I believe this is LeBron's favorite drink as well. Is what my son.
Wow.
Whoa.
Cranberry.
I'm sure you could ask him if that's true.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like that would be a breach and sort of like, hey man, just what do you think of this?
Just checking in. Checking in on your cranberry Sprite thoughts.
Yeah.
Cranberry Sprite.
Also Wicked, good movie.
Oh, shout out to Wicked.
Are you sponsored by Wicked by chance? No.
We are now. Go check out Wicked in theaters.
Little movie called Wicked.
You ever heard of it? It's called Wicked. Okay. Thanks so much for listening to our show. Be sure that we got a ton of people watching right now live. Just hit the like button. A ton. Please hit the like button. Would very much appreciate that. If you're not watching on YouTube, would very much appreciate some YouTube views as well. I hope you guys have a great day and respect the cup. And we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.
Respect the cup.